Good morning, Kings. Time for your more motivation. Um, just got done walking slash doing a little trotting for about 3 miles. Yeah, I'm not supposed to be running, so I'll call it a trot. And it felt different. I mean, first time in a while that I was able to do something above a walk, and I know later on today probably going to feel it as I feel it now. So I just got to manage my activities, but I know I just want to get back into a fitness mind state and staying ready and making sure that I'm active. So it's time to take things to another level and just kind of push the envelope some, and not get into this defeated mindset like I only can do this. Like, find out exactly what my limits are and test the body, push it further. If it's gonna break, it's gonna break. That's what they got doctors for. So there will be an element of me that's trying to be cautious, but there's also going to be a spirit of intention behind increasing my fitness level as is needed, because that's my therapy as well, just to get out there and I won't say run, because I don't know if I can call that a run. That's a trot. Yeah, that's what we'll label it as, a trot. But anyways, went into your more motivation, and these videos are not coming from a perspective that I have already accomplished or I've already attained everything that I'm speaking on. These are things that I'm actually going through and bringing you along on this journey. And this no love, no hate, trying to stray away from the extremism. The extremism would be in hate, and the other extreme would be blind love, just accepting everything that you see because of that extreme motion of love. So it's that balance, and that was the last video. The purpose of that last video was balance. And I must admit, like, I go through these videos, I have to actually live this stuff out and go through these things, because these emotions still come to me, and I didn't handle them well last week. I was into those extreme emotions, and I let my emotions get the best of me again. I'll let you know what happened. No, I won't. I decided I'm not going to share. I'll share you the results of what happened, which was me losing my control. And I probably could share what happened, and my views would increase, because it seems like when I share my destructive moments, the views goes up. And this is not intended to be a view-friendly post or video, but the end result is that I was operating in extreme emotions. I let my emotions get the best of me. I was in the passenger seat again, to my anger, and words came out of my mouth, and it wasn't conducive to the no love, no hate. So I'm not immune to this. I have to continue to develop and grow in this balance thing. But recognition is a powerful tool for correction, and not giving yourself a pass like, well, you've been doing good this far. It's okay to slip up here once in a while. This is not the journey I'm on, to just be mediocre. Good is the enemy of great, and great is less than excellent. So I'm trying to be excellent. So I can't settle for average or good, because good is not good enough. So that extreme emotion that's happening, once you decide to be balanced, things in life is going to come test you to see how balanced you are. There's going to be some discussions, some conversations, some situations that come your way that's going to test your ability to remain focused and balanced and not get into extremism. I wish it was easier, because that would make life easier, but life is not meant to be easy. I know my sister reached out to me the other day, asked how I was doing, and I said I'm doing better. And the reality, I am doing better. And I told her my life was not meant to be easy. My journey was not meant to be easy. It was meant to be traveled. A lot of people think their journey is supposed to be easy. There's nowhere along the way that there's benefit from being easy. Anything that you do in life that's worth having, you have to work for. If you think about the Christmas present syndrome, whether you have kids or if you were once a kid yourself, those presents on Christmas Day, they meant the world. I mean, they were appreciated. I mean, you unwrapped them and you were surprised and all these things, but they were short-lived. Probably by February, March the latest, people stopped playing with those toys and they started moving on to other things. I know, having young kids, there were times that they will have new toys and they'll still go in the cabinets and pull out pots and pans and try to play with them. And the rationale behind that is like, when you give somebody something, they appreciate it for the short term, but they don't take care of it or appreciate it long term. But that same person, if they would have to go and work hard for that, they're going to appreciate it. They're going to be a good steward of it because they have to expend their resources, their time, and their energy to go get that. So when things are given to you, they are short-lived. When things are worked for, they're a little more enduring, and you're able to appreciate them a little longer. So this No Love, No Hate series, it's going to have to take some work, some sweat equity to actually get to this next stage of being balanced, because life is going to throw things at you to test if you're just talking about this like I was last week and I wasn't ready to walk it out. But even if you fall down on this No Love, No Hate, recognize it, get up and start walking again. You can't get into a pity party for you, like, well, I'm always going to be this way. This how it's always been. Is how it always will be. You can't get into that pity party. You got to be able to get back up and dust yourself off, and then continue on the way. So, as I was walking / trotting this morning, the Most High spoke to me, and He spoke to me even in my reading, my scripture reading this morning, and it was in Proverbs 25, and it was the last verse in there, and it really spoke to me. It says, "A city broken into without walls." It says, like a city broken into without walls is a man who doesn't control his spirit. Like a city broken into without walls is like a man who doesn't control his spirit. So the man is compared to the city, and it's like the city is in disarray. There's no boundaries set up around the city. So it doesn't have walls. So it's easily to be infiltrated and to be broken into. So is the man who doesn't have control of his spirit. And as I was doing the little walking, trotting today, I started to realize like how important it is to have walls around your city, because the scripture compares the man to the city. So there's some type of parallel that's going on between the man and the city. So I was listening to the King's Disease, Nas' new album, and he had a line in there that really caught my attention. He was saying that outside of my kids, boundaries were the best thing I ever created. And I think that's extremely important. I know we went through a series about the importance of boundaries and stuff of that nature, but it's one thing to talk about it. It's another one to erect the boundaries around your city. And we are the city. The man is the city. So I am Mayor Morton. I'm the mayor of this city here. And as I was walking today, I started to do an assessment of my city and, start to reflect about, am I properly governing my city? Am I in a place where I'm building a solid foundation? And am I protecting it by surrounding it with boundaries and walls to kind of fortify my city? And I think it's important that we fortify our city, because we're going to have attacks from different people coming at us. And if your walls are not built, it's easily to be broken into. I know back a while back, on a few videos ago, we were talking about Nehemiah. Nehemiah was the cupbearer, and for the king, and had a very high position, but he was very in torment because his city back home where he grew up was in disarray. It had been torn down, and invaders were coming in. They were looting, they were taking everything because there was no walls built around the city. So he set on a purpose to go rebuild the walls around the city. And there was haters all the way as he built the wall. They were thinking that they came with all kind of false accusations against him. What his motivation was building it? Was he trying to overthrow the government and this and that? But he was just trying to fortify the walls around the city to provide protection. And I think that's where we got to be at right now. Let's start building walls around our city so we can make sure that we're equipped to govern accordingly. So if I'm the mayor of this city, Am I governing my city in a way that's conducive to me still being mayor? I mean, like, who do I have in place in my city? Who's the police chief? You know, I need to go, and you need to start having some elected officials come into your city, like your mentor, your advisor. So if there's an arrested development, there's an area in your life that's halted and it's not growing, who's the one that's going to go and stop that arrested development and get you to a point where you can start to get back on your developmental phase? Start fortifying your city with your walls. Who's on your city council? Who have you put? And this is the thing I'm advising, like, myself too. So I'm kind of talking to myself, like, on my city council, who's there that to hear the causes and to regulate what is and what isn't going to be allowed to be done within the city ordinance. You know, who do you have advising you? Because there's a lot of people that's talking to you. There's a lot of people in your ear. There's a lot of people that's trying to influence you. There's a lot of hidden agendas that's going on in the media and the music and everything. The marketing is just strong, and it's trying to reduce your ability to think for yourself. If you allow other people to think for you, then you will be what they want you to be. So you got to be able to suspend what other people think. And I know this kind of sounds contradictory because I'm asking you to establish a city council, but it's not, because you are the one that's regulating the city council. You are the one that's selecting these individuals who can feed into your life. I'm not just saying you listen to anyone, but there's got to be someone in your life that's connected to you. And if not, then you need to change your circle. Now, you'll be the average of the 5 people you hang around the most. So if you're hanging around people that's always doing something that's less than productive, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be less than productive. If you hanging around people that are grinding and they're always pursuing goals and they always trying to better themselves, 9 times out of 10, you're going to start to get up off your ass and you're going to want to better yourself too. If you hanging around people that's always, complaining and always have something going on, always something wrong, you're going to find something to complain about too. So when you're selecting your city council, those people who's going to sit on that board, select it around attributes and things that you want to be associated with the new version of your city. Because without this, the city's in chaos. There's riots in the city. Who's your chief physician? Who's advising you on the health? Like, is your stomach hanging out over your belt buckle? Kind of like mine was at times. But getting back into a fitness level, it's like, who's holding you accountable for your fitness level? They're telling you and advising you on what you should be doing health-wise, foods you should be eating, and stuff of that nature. And if you don't have these people, there's books, there's resources, there's YouTube, there's all these things. Like, the access to information is at a premium. It's available out there. If you really want to know something, it's not restricted. Back in the day in slavery, they used to tell people they can't read, and you used to get whipped and beat if you tried to read. Now it's going to take you to whipping and beating somebody to force them to read. So there's a saying, like, if you want to hide something from people, put it in the book. But during this process of building your city and fortifying your city, if you don't have the information, or you don't have people around your circle to give you this information, then you're going to have to read it in the book. You're going to have to go on YouTube and do self-study. You're going to have to take some classes. You're going to have to attend some seminars. But this is all for the betterment of your city. Like, you need to make sure your city is fortified, because your walls are down. Anybody can come in. How do you manage everything that's going on in your life? Do you, as a mayor, if it was up for re-election, would you be re-elected? Or is there a protest outside your city because you're not getting the results that you want out of your life? If you're not satisfied with where you are right now, and if you're not to a point where you're trying to grow to become better, that's your fault. I know you can kind of blame it on circumstances and situation. I'm not this because of that. But the reality is, if you're managing your city, if you're the mayor of your city, you're responsible for it all. So it's time to start to take a step back and reflect on your life. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So if you're getting the same result, it's because you're doing the same thing. So it's time for some radical changes that's going on. And I'm starting with building the wall in my city. I've been going to counseling for the last few months, since September. And that counseling, it took me to a place where it got me through a dark moment. But I was kind of plateauing, and the conversations that we were having were a bit redundant, and it was a bit of coddling and stuff like that. It's okay and this and that. And at the time when I was at a low point, I probably needed that. But now it's time for war, and I need to really fortify my city. So I told my counselor last week, I said, this is the last session. You know, I need to go to another level. Like what I'm doing right now is still giving me the same results. You know, got me through a dark place, but it's not enough to get me to where I'm going. Like I can see the light now. I need to go to war. Like at war with myself and becoming better. Like I need to really put some sweat equity in building the walls around my city. And it's important that you be able to assess that, because it's one thing to say, hey, yes, I'm going to counseling, but it's another thing to say, is the counseling actually working? And if it's working now, does that mean it's going to work forever, or is there always going to be a time for you to assess? So you got to be on a continual assessment of your progress, because if you're not assessing it, then you don't know if it's working or not. So you can just be going through the motions and going through the things and thinking that you're getting better, but time reveals all. Time will tell you if you're moving forward or you're moving backward, because there's no such things as being stagnant. The earth is on a rotation. So even if you're staying still today, if you're in the same place tomorrow, you move backwards. This is about progress, and it's not about just saying or doing things just for the sake of doing them. You know, all activity is not progress. You know, a lot of people are busy doing a lot of things, but they're not making progress. And there's an acronym for busy. And I learned this when I went through my brief stint in seminary, when I thought one day I was going to be a chaplain. Yeah, I know that's funny. Funny to me now, thinking I was going to be a chaplain at one time. But anyways, the acronym for busy was being under Satan's yoke. Busy, B-U-S-Y, being under Satan's yoke. Means like there's a lot of activities going on, a lot of movement, and there's a lot of things that's begging for your attention and your energy. And you can spend your whole day doing a lot of activity and making very little, if no, progress. So if your activity is not leading you to progress, then it's just busy work. It's just keeping you distraction and distracted. And there's a real big appetite for distractions nowadays. You know, the media has it on. There's always a storm or some breaking news. This happened. They're pulling out of Afghanistan. There's vaccinations that's going on. You know, there's hurricanes, there's earthquakes, there's forest fires here, there's crime over here, you know, there's looting and stuff over there. Like all these things, and it gets you focused on everything external to you and neglecting what's going on right inside you. So you got to get to a point where it's said, and I said it before, it's better to be at peace within and war without than at peace without and war within. So we got to get back to looking at inside, and that's where this process that I'm going right now is like to fortify my city, because some people then crept into my city when the boundaries were down. It's like the border between the United States, between Mexico and the United States. You know, there's cats that's getting through that border every day. You know, and there's supposed to be guards and stuff down there, but they're getting creative. They're digging tunnels, they're going over walls, they're going to where people are not watching, and they're coming in. And the same thing is happening to you in your city, the one you the mayor of. You know, you would say, hey, if I was the government, I'll do this. And everybody got advice for the mayors and for the presidents and for politicians and for athletes and for actors and for friends and for family. Everybody got advice for everybody else, including me. I'm giving you advice right now. But what are you advising yourself? Like, you are in charge of your city. You are the mayor of your city. So what advice are you going to give yourself to get your situation from where it's at? There's ghettos right in your jurisdiction. Ghettos, and there's poverty of mind where you are not thinking the right thoughts. There's poverty of health where you're not being a good steward of your body. There's poverty of education where you're not reading, you're not developing, you're not growing. There's poverty of how you speak and how you talk to yourself. There's a lot of poverty that exists right in your jurisdiction. So what advice would you give your mayor? My advice, what I'm giving myself, is get up off your ass. That it's not about just talking about it. It's about doing it. It's about doing something radical. So this video here is to encourage you to do something completely different than what you've been doing. If you got that poverty mindset where you're not exhibiting health and wealth in every area of your life, you got to go back and you got to fortify your city. You know, there's poverty in finances. You know, there's everybody's talking about stimulus checks and what they should be doing with the budget and stuff. What are you doing with the budget that you've been entrusted to? Are you check to check? And check to check is not an indication of how much money you're making. It's an indication of how much money you're spending. Because it doesn't matter how much you make. It matters how much you spend. Because I've had a poverty mindset and I've been over 6 figures for over a decade. Probably a decade plus I've been making over 6 figures. So, but it's a poverty mindset. When if you got it, you spend it. You know, they say it ain't tricking if you got it. I say it is tricking even if you do got it. It's better to save it and put it away for a rainy day. So what advice are you going to give yourself as the mayor? Like, really start advising yourself and surrounding yourself with your city council, your police chief, your physician, and you got to go make sure that you're doing all these things in order to bring your city back to prominence. Do people want to tour the city? You know, are they going to come and they're going to see it nicely decorated? Are the yards being maintained in your city? Is the crime low? You know, is the drama low? What are they going to see in your city? What would somebody be attracted to your city for? How's your tourists? Like, because even when you build the city, you're not on the island. There's people that are around you. Surround yourself. And maybe there's some people that need to be evicted from the city, be banned from the city, you know, because they're not upkeeping in the traditions that you want to set, in the tones that you want to set for your life. So I encourage you to start building your walls around your city. Go through each of your area of life, whether it be education, whether it be your health, whether it be your finances, whether it be your relationships, and start building your wall. Fortify your city so that you cannot be penetrated. And that once you start building those walls, you're able to be balanced. Like if you're out of balance in your health, out of balance in your finance, you're out of balance in your education, that's going to lead you to be susceptible to extremism. You're going to hate this person over here, and you're going to maybe love this person over there because they have some of those attributes. But if you are content within yourself, if you come to the realization that you are enough, that you just been under bad management and you're the manager, if you come to the realization that there's still time to change, as long as there's oxygen in your breath and there's a will and determination to be better, once you come to that understanding, your walls will start being built. And the people that's in there now may not be the same people that remains there. You know, there's no free rides. No one, you know, there's nobody riding on your coattail on this. Start assessing people in your life, but assess yourself first and stay away from those extremism. So let me get ready for a productive day. I'm naming it, I'm claiming it. It's going to be productive. And on my next video, I'll tell you the next endeavor. I'll introduce it. After Labor Day, I think I'm going to go in, well, I know I'm going to go into the 75 hard. It's 75 days of discipline. And maybe on the next video, I'll go in a little more in depth on it. But it's time for some radical changes to happen. I didn't get through the storm. And the best time to prepare for war is not in war. That's when it's time to fight. So now the things is calming down. Now it's time to equip myself and prepare myself for my next storm. So you don't want to be preparing for war while you're in a war. You know, it says sweat during peace prevents blood during war. So while things are kind of calm outside, I could have took a time off and said, you know what? I've been through a lot. It's time to relax. It's time to prepare for the next war. Be well, young kings.